I'm honestly convinced that in Chapter 30 of Boruto 2 Blue Vortex, we're going to see something happen in Sector D that won't just flip the script, it's going to make us look at Boruto, Himawari, and the very nature of omnipotence in a whole new light. In Chapter 30 of Boruto 2 Blue Vortex, things are going to move fast. Boruto, Himawari, and Team 10, led by Shikamaru, are already on their way to Sector D. We actually saw this in Chapter 29, though a lot of people might have missed it. But why are they heading there of all places? It's because Sector D is the heart of the new defense strategy, since that's where Eida is located. The irony, though, is that this is exactly where the unthinkable is going to happen. My heart really goes out to Boruto. Just imagine for a second what it's like returning to the village you love, knowing that almost every single person there sees you as an enemy. The only light in all that darkness is Himawari. Their bond isn't just about being siblings, it's the only pure truth left in a world of lies created by omnipotence. Even under the influence of that power, the Himawari Club can feel that connection. I really think Sector D is going to become the site of a mini resonance. We saw in the original Naruto canon how Kurama and Naruto would combine their chakra to create something incredible. Here, I think we're going to see a resonance between two children of prophecy. Boruto has his Otsutsuki power, and Himawari is now the host of the reborn Kurama. When they get to Sector D, their combined chakra will create a link that gives Kurama a momentary opening. Eida's technique will weaken just enough for Himawari to receive information from Kurama. This isn't just a physical battle, it's a metaphysical clash between truth and illusion. I have a feeling that's where Himawari will finally see her brother for who he really is, for the first time, without the lens of those altered memories. At that moment, Sector D stops being just a spot on the Konoha map. It turns into a space where different versions of reality collide. We've grown used to thinking of Eida's omnipotence as this linear force that just rewrites memories, but in Sector D, it's going to start glitching. It's not because the technique itself is getting weaker, but because a power has appeared that just doesn't align with its nature. The resonance between Boruto and Himawari isn't just two chakras bumping into each other. Their energies are overlapping, creating a sort of double reflection effect where the reality created by omnipotence is layered right on top of their actual memories. In those moments, Himawari's mind will start catching these strange glitches, flashes of childhood, bits of conversations, and happy scenes that just don't fit into the new, false memories. And Kurama will be the one to gently help her hold onto those tiny sparks of truth. Kurama understands that the world is currently in a very fragile balance. He can feel the tension in Himawari's chakra, a mix of anxiety, affection, and that unexplainable pull toward Boruto. To him, that's a signal. She's not just a child fooled by an illusion, she's a future bearer of choice. Kurama remembers Naruto, the boy who managed to change the very nature of hatred, not through force, but through his character. And now, he sees history repeating itself on a whole different level. Only this time, it's not a war between humans and tailed beasts, it's a war over the interpretation of reality itself. Kurama clearly isn't going to just shatter that thin line. He's choosing the path of patience. Instead of forcing the truth on her, he's letting it be born inside Himawari herself. For Kurama, this isn't just a tactic, it's a form of respect. He knows that a truth forced from the outside can break a person, but a truth found on one's own creates a hero. Right at that same moment, Boruto feels more than just his sister's gaze. He feels something else, a quiet, warm, but incredibly powerful presence. He doesn't hear words, but he feels a message. It's like an echo of the very same fox that once lived inside his father. He feels a responsibility not just as a big brother, but as someone standing on the edge of a world where truth and lies have the power to destroy the destinies of entire generations, and that's exactly when the fate of Sector D stops being a local conflict and turns into a global flashpoint. Because if the lie collapses here, it means it will eventually collapse everywhere. Kurama has already seen Boruto and is just staying quiet for now. Why isn't he shouting at Himawari, "Hey, that's your biological brother. Why does Konoha hate him?" Well, Kurama is a being made of pure energy, and I really believe Eida's technique didn't affect him. He remembers everything. He remembers Naruto, and he remembers watching Boruto grow up. But he also sees that the entire world around him has gone crazy, so why the silence? Kurama is such a seasoned strategist. He notices that Himawari is living in a world where all her landmarks have shifted. He's afraid that if he just dumps the truth on her, her mind might not be able to handle the cognitive dissonance. He's waiting and watching to see how Himawari feels about Boruto. As soon as he feels that she instinctively trusts him, that she sees him not as the criminal who killed her father, but as that same boy from her childhood memories, Kurama will speak. That will be the moment moment of truth that breaks Eida's spell in Himawari's mind. Kurama is basically the antivirus in the Omnipotence system. Also, let's not forget that Himawari has Otsutsuki genes too, which might help her keep from forgetting Boruto. Why didn't the Shinjutsu affect Kurama? In the recent chapters of Two Blue Vortex, we see that even the strongest shinobi are susceptible. But Kurama is a piece of the Ten Tails, an entity whose nature is much closer to the Shinju, who are also immune to Eida's powers. Kurama acts as an anchor for reality. As long as he exists inside Himawari, the truth can't be permanently erased. Now, get ready for a second interesting twist. We're used to thinking of Damon as the ultimate win button. His ability to reflect attacks seems absolute, but in Sector D, he's going to run into Mamushi. You see, Mamushi isn't just another opponent. He's an evolved incarnation of the Ten Tails, whose intelligence is growing exponentially every day he spends on Earth. The way I see it, the battle will go like this. Damon tries to reflect an attack, only to find that Mamushi is attacking physically, but without any intellectual subtext or malicious intent. To put it simply, Mamushi doesn't need him. Damon might actually find himself on the brink of death in such a bizarre fight. The irony is that he'll be saved by the very people he used to look down on, or think were weak Boruto and Himawari. That would be such a powerful plot move. Boruto, using his incredible karma power and the Rasengan Uzuhiko, will create a window of opportunity, while Himawari uses Kurama's power to cover their retreat. But while they're busy protecting Damon, something irreversible happens. Eida is left completely unprotected, but it's not that simple. I'm positive Eida won't just be consumed on the spot. She'll be taken back to the Shinju base. Remember what happened with Moegi? The Shinju are methodical. They want total consumption and the integration of abilities. They can't risk Boruto and his friends getting Eida back, so they need to get her to their base so the tree itself is protected and not just out in the open. Eida's power is way too valuable to gamble with. If Eida ends up in the Shinju nest, she becomes their ultimate tool. Just imagine if the Shinju learn how to use omnipotence through her. They could make the entire world believe that resistance is futile. That would be the end of the shinobi era. I think the Shinju realize that Eida is the key to their own evolution. If they absorb her, they stop being mere copies and become true gods. My theory is that Mamushi specifically split into 50 individuals to create a living chain, allowing information about Eida's location to be transmitted instantly. It's terrifying. It's genuinely scary because Konoha is losing its biggest advantage in terms of controlling the battlefield. Kashin Koji is a huge fan favorite in Two Blue Vortex, but I'm a bit skeptical about his situation. His ability to see future timelines makes him like a chess player who sees 10 moves ahead, but in the latest chapters, we're seeing a shadow of worry and frustration on his face. It's because his visions of the future are starting to fall apart. The path he laid out for Boruto is breaking, and the changes happening right now aren't exactly working out in humanity's favor. The most chilling part is Mamushi's division. Koji said their numbers were limited and there would be 30 of them, but now we're seeing that Mamushi has already split into 50. Most importantly, their intelligence isn't dropping like Koji predicted. We're seeing the opposite in Chapter 30. We'll see that their collective mind is only getting stronger. Imagine an army of 50 beings, each at a Kage level, all linked by a single goal. They aren't just an enemy, they're like locusts, devouring fate itself. Koji realizes that if Boruto doesn't do something extraordinary in Sector D, the future he saw simply won't happen. Why are 50 Mamushis basically a death sentence? Just one Hidari or one Jura gave Konoha a massive amount of trouble. Sure, Mamushi might be weaker than Jura, but he's not weaker than Hidari. Now multiply that by 50 while keeping their sharp intellect and hive mind. I can't stop thinking about how beautifully Aikamoto and Kishimoto are bringing the story full circle. Naruto and Sasuke were brothers by fate, but Boruto and Himawari are siblings by blood, torn apart by a divine technique. When Boruto and Himawari fight side by side in Sector D, protecting Damon from Mamushi, it will be the symbol of a new era. Himawari is hope, Boruto is will, and Kurama inside Himawari is memory. Together, they make the perfect trio to stand against even 50 copies of Mamushi, but the price will be high. Losing Eida will be that necessary evil that forces the heroes to grow and pushes the plot forward. So, Sector D is becoming the epicenter center of it all. Boruto and Himawari will prove themselves as true protectors by saving Damon from certain death. However, Eida falls into the hands of the Shinju, threatening the very existence of the shinobi world order. Kurama will have to reveal the truth to Himawari, and Kashin Koji will be frantically searching for a way to fix a broken future. This story is getting darker, but at the same time, it's getting so much more exciting. We're seeing the stakes rise with every chapter. Mamushi and his 50 copies are just the tip of the iceberg. We used to think of the Shinju as instinctive creatures driven by a hunger to consume, but Mamushi in 2 Blue Vortex isn't a beast anymore. He's a computational structure that learns faster than humans can react. His copies don't just share power, they distribute functions. Some act as scouts, others as strategic hubs, and others as tactical enforcers. It's all united by a single will that is slowly moving away from being biological and becoming what you might call a prototype of a divine algorithm. This is exactly why Koji is starting to panic. His ability to see the future only works as long as reality follows understandable rules. But when he's faced with a system that can rewrite the logic of cause and effect in real time, his gift becomes a broken tool. Mamushi is analyzing everything: shinobi behavior, attack tactics, emotional reactions, and every fighter's weakness. Real power is control over perception. That's why Eida is more important to him than any tailed beast, any Jinchuriki, or any Otsutsuki. By absorbing her, the Shinju won't just defeat the shinobi, they'll destroy the very idea of free will. Imagine a world where every mistake or every conflict caused by the Shinju is perceived in advance as inevitable and right. A world where people don't even try to resist because their memories are distorted to make them think. This is how it's supposed to be. Mamushi understands that if omnipotence becomes a tool for the tree, the shinobi lose not just their history, but their future. That's why he's acting so coldly and calculatively. He's waiting, building a system where a single strike will be so powerful that recovery is impossible. For Koji, this is the worst case scenario. His face doesn't just show fear, it shows the realization of his own mistake. This utility shouldn't have existed. He's realizing for the first time that Boruto isn't just a pawn in a big game anymore, but the only player capable of breaking the rules of the game itself. But this time, the price of that intervention is going to be astronomical. Boruto has already tried to break Mamushi's system, and in Sector D, he's going into a war not against the enemy Koji told him about, but against an enemy that thinks like one giant network. Quick heads up guys, I've officially started my most ambitious project yet. Boruto. This is a weekly series where we're rewriting the foundation of the shinobi world from the ground up. If you're tired of plot holes and want a story that actually follows the rules of the canon, this is for you. Episode 1 is already live, so make sure to check it out after this video. Now, let's continue our discussion. Friends, we are standing on the threshold of the greatest crisis in Boruto's history. Everything happening in Sector D isn't just a local skirmish between heroes and a new type of enemy. It's the point where the very concept of reality begins to crack under the weight of several truths existing at once. On one side, you have the world rewritten by Omnipotence, where Boruto is the villain and Kawaki is the savior. On the other, you have suppressed memories, like glowing embers under a layer of ash, waking up through the resonance of Himawari, Boruto, and Kurama. At that moment, the story stops being just a conflict between characters. It becomes a struggle for the right to define what truth even is. Mamushi isn't trying to win through strength, he wants the world to give up its own resistance. And the longer the standoff in Sector D lasts, the clearer it becomes. This isn't just about winning one battle. It's about whether people can keep their ability to doubt, to feel, and to choose. Boruto is standing right in the middle of that rift, between a world that hates him and a truth no one is ready to accept. Himawari is becoming more than an ally. She's the link between the past, the present, and the future that can still be saved. If the resonance between these two children of destiny grows stronger, they might just be able to punch a hole right through the shell of omnipotence. What do you guys think? Will Himawari be able to forgive the world and herself once Kurama tells her the truth? Will Eida's kidnapping be the moment Kawaki finally realizes his mistake and teams up with Boruto? Or will Kawaki's ego finally destroy everything he's trying so desperately to protect? Drop your wildest theories in the comments. Don't forget, we're only at the start of 2026, and I've got so much more content ready for you. So make sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any new videos.